Alright, welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name's Elliott and you're watching Rickety Ski Reviews. Today, we're gonna do it a little bit different actually. I have something I want to talk about, and I finally saw somebody talk about it on Ski Essentials in their Friday recap. But they talked about something that I've been thinking about for a while, which was recently Mikaela Shifrin was injured and she's been kind of taken out of the World Cup circuit due to her injury. And there's been some talk about why the sport hasn't kind of changed and adapted to protect some of ski racing's biggest athletes. I think what they've seen in other sports is when star athletes are injured, the viewership goes way down. So for the sake of keeping viewership high for ski racing, there should be some level of protecting these athletes. So I'm gonna watch Mikaela's crash. Back when I used to ski race, I used to really avoid ski race crashing just because I don't like it. It would give me the heebie-jeebies. It would make me really hesitant when I skied, and it just kind of became dangerous for me mentally. But you know, now I don't have to worry about that. So let's see what happened with Mikaela Shifrin's crash. And then after that, I'll give you guys my thoughts on what's going on with the sport, because I've never raced at this level or anywhere close, but I do have opinions about this stuff. All right, the Cortina downhill 2 weeks ago. Now, fingers crossed that we don't get claimed. If you hear some weird audio or you're not seeing the image, that's fine. I may have to cut away from it, but I'm gonna see if I can at least play part of this.
Not one to be fooled by timing. This is the 95-time World Cup winner, Mikaela Shifrin, a 4-time World Cup downhill winner. And she won earlier this year in St. Moritz. And this is, oh man, no! And Shifrin goes down. Oh.
All right, already when you saw her going off of that, she was in the air too long, and when she landed, she kind of buckled and smacked. As soon as you see that, you know that it's going to be a really hard recovery or something might be broken. That's the problem with these speed events. They're insanely dangerous, and it only takes a little bit of mistiming a jump to get injured that hard. GS, if you mistime something, your feet aren't off the ground for long enough for it to matter, so it's really easy to recover. Speed events like this, yeah, it's extremely dangerous. Ted Ligety, when I used to work at his camp, used to talk about how downhill was such a hard sport because you had to actually memorize the course ahead of time. You had to know where every turn was, because if you forgot where a turn was or you went over something blind, you could get yourself in big trouble. It's a lot like if you've ever watched Cool Runnings, where they're kind of it's an old movie now, I guess, but they were, the guys in the bathtub looking at pictures of the toboggan track, to kind of memorize it. It's the same thing for downhill. These guys get a full day or two ahead of time to inspect the course and look through it just so they're totally dialed in. And it only takes a little bit of mistiming a jump like that to get really hurt. That is off. I don't like watching that stuff. Actually, weirdly enough, Mikaela Shifrin is friends with my high school prom date. It was just a friend I took to prom, but my friend, her dad was the coach or the head coach at Burke Mountain Academy, and then he coached Mikaela later because I'm a little bit older. So anyway, 300 people removed, I kind of know Mikaela because she went to Burke Mountain Academy, and I'm from East Burke, Vermont, although I think she's from Colorado originally. That is awful to watch. It's one of my biggest gripes with skiing in general. And this isn't just for ski racing, this is freestyle skiing, backcountry skiing. It's we only care about the sport when it's dangerous. You know what I mean? Oh, well, that's cool you're doing freestyle, but did you do a double backflip, and could you have been permanently paralyzed? Oh, you were doing big backcountry, but is it a big deal if you didn't set off a couple of avalanches? And I know that there are steps to make things safer, and I appreciate that it's improved over the years, but at the same time, I don't know if it's Americans or just people in general in the sport, but it seems like we really fetishize and glamorize big injuries. Some of the most iconic things in ski racing have come from Herman almost being upside down in that big World Cup race years ago. There's a famous picture from the 80s or 90s. Bode Miller going up on the fencing and coming back down. It's cool, but it's extremely dangerous. And same for this. I saw a bunch of Instagram posts from Mikaela just about oh, this is part of the sport and I'm gonna persevere, which is a great mental thing to say, but it begs the question, does the sport really need to be this dangerous? Do we really even need downhill? Super G is so fast as it is, or does downhill need to be this dangerous? Do there need to be this many features that like get them airborne? Does it need to be something where it has to be memorized? That's just my opinion, but I really hate seeing people just get hurt for the sake of a sport, right? You know what I mean? It's not like, this isn't Balto. She doesn't have some medicine that she needs to get to an orphan in time for someone to survive. No, this is a sport. This is for like the love of the sport. This is for partially entertainment, but more it's like seeing how athletic these people can be and how strong they can be and how precise they can be in like a really fine crafted way. But is that really measured if they're just getting injured every 5 to 10 years? I mean, look at Lindsey Vonn. Like, she has had so many surgeries. She's talked about like how she has all these metal bolts along inside of her legs and arms. For what? For what? Like, Lindsey Vonn is, in my opinion, the greatest ski racer of my generation. I mean, Mikaela Shifrin probably is in there too. But like, why do we need to injure these people in order for them to be the best? Why can't they just be technically the best? Why like can't we do this in a way that's safe, that isn't gonna hurt people? This is controversial, but I don't really love American football because we know that these people are getting head injuries and we know that they're doing long-term damage. Their life expectancy is low. So why are we doing it? Why? I know this is a hot take, and I'm a certified USSA race referee. I had to do the whole training. And the whole point of a race event is for it to be fair and for it to be safe. And it's like, it seems like they're not really living up to those standards, especially when you have features like this. Now, that wasn't the worst one. Okay, so Mikaela Shifrin's partner, Alexander Kilde, had a big crash as well. All right, I'm not showing any more of that. So I just played it. It's pretty horrific. I don't even know if I'm gonna show it on here. Yeah, it's just like he's set up for a super tight line. He can't make it. If you've ever been on a World Cup ski race course, it's like bulletproof. It is hard ice, and he just bounces right off of it and into the netting. To me, whoever's setting that course, they should be banned from setting again when people get injured that badly. Sure, some things happen, but when you're setting something that's going to go that fast and haul through and has the potential of really, really injure someone permanently like that, there's no reason for that. I mean, there's ways to set courses to make it safe and fair. You can have a course that, sure, everybody's going to finish, but the fastest person is still the fastest person. There's no reason to be setting courses like this. There's no reason for conditions to be like this. It's a very archaic way of thinking about ski racing rather than focusing on like a really technical course where crashing isn't going to be devastating like that. I think speed events need to be really retooled in a safer way. I think that like specifically people setting courses to make them so that they're really technical and people might crash out and get injured, that's no way to set a course. I mean, what are you doing at that point? Is it fun? Is it fair? It's missing the bigger picture of what's important in ski racing, and that's, discerning who's the best skier. And yeah, people will push the limits and crash, but you can set in a way that isn't gonna do that. That and like the people who do the netting could do a better job. There's a million things. Skiing is a dangerous sport. I'm not saying that you can eliminate it 100%, but this weird way that we fetishize and idolize people who crash and get back up. I saw a post from River Radamus talking about, this one guy, he was injured and took him 2 years to get back just for the privilege of getting back up there. And then he got injured again. It's like, what? Don't do that to someone. That's 2 years of their life. Like, no, go do something else. I mean, ski racing is such a weird sport. It's like there are people who cling on to it for years and years and years. And it's like, no, build out some other skills. Go live life. There's more to life than ski racing. I mean, I guess that's easy for me to say. I'm nowhere near that ability, so I've never had that false sense of, this is where I'm going with it. But as somebody who loves the sport and who's somebody who has been responsible for athlete safety, when I did college races, I was the race referee and I had to be in charge of all this stuff. There's no reason for half of this stuff. It's like an ego thing of the people setting it. It's an ego thing of the people in charge. The fact that you now have Mikaela Shifrin and Alex out of a whole rest of the season makes no sense. The fact that Lindsey Vonn had to retire probably a little bit earlier than she needed to because it just wreaked havoc on her body. And she's somebody who's extremely athletic. It wasn't like, if someone shouldn't have gotten injured, it was probably her. You look at Julia Mancuso. I mean, she had years and years of hip issues, and same thing for like you look at Instagram or you look at any of the content. It's only cool if it's like backcountry and it's really extreme and you're doing backflips. What you're not seeing behind the scenes is people getting permanently injured, permanently being wheelchair bound. We have people die every year at our local mountain because they're in the backcountry and they're trying to do a jump over the road. One guy got hit by a car. Somebody who was just driving normal speed. So I'm not impressed with this stuff. I don't think it really needs to exist. And I think it's ultimately detrimental to the longevity and health of the sport. You want to have people who are really good, set a really technical course, even if it's not that fast. You can differentiate good racers from bad racers in different ways, other than just having it be breakneck speeds and, I know downhill is kind of like that, but maybe we need to reassess whether or not we're having downhill races anymore. At least in my opinion, skiing is supposed to be a lifetime sport. It's supposed to be something you enjoy into your older years. And if we keep idolizing people just getting injured and people pushing their boundaries so much that they get hurt, it seems like a huge waste of talented people and a huge waste of people's health. So anyway, that's my hot take on skiing and injuries. That's my hot take on just professional sports. I know it's not as exciting to see people go slower or on safer courses, but at the end of the day, people's health is more important than your entertainment. All right, lastly, let's watch Herman Maier's crash. Here we go. I mean, yeah, at this point, you're just incentivizing people to like really push the limits and go all out. I get that it's a cool sport. It's cool to see like how fast humans can go on skis, but I read this guy's autobiography, which, if you're wondering, is super boring. I read it in high school. It's like, you know how you do summer reading and you always do it like the week before? I read his and it was after the crash. It talks about the crash and then the rest of it is like a snore fest. But it was kind of interesting. But he's just talking about like the road to recovery, and he talks a lot about his hemoglobins, which as a 14-year-old I did not really understand. But he basically had like a little pedal bike for his hands, and he, for like 6 to 8 months, I want to say, was just doing this thing every day, trying to recover. His doctor's telling him he's never gonna walk again, and he's like trying to build back his career. You put so much stress on people that like, you have to push it to the limit. You have to leave it out on the field. No, no you don't. Don't leave it on the field. Bring it home with you. You need like your functioning body as a person. After the sport is gone, people will forget about you. People will move on. Even probably my younger part of my audience is like, who's Herman Maier? It's just not worth it. I mean, I know who Herman Maier is. But like, yes, this is like cool that he's pushing his limits, but he didn't need to. And like this sport incentivizes riding that line, pushing it to the limit, getting the tightest line you can, and this is the kind of stuff that happens as a result. It's like a cool 2-second clip of him upside down, but then you think about his head, he could have easily been paralyzed for the rest of his life if he had landed a little bit different. Like, and the helmets were not as effective back then as they are now. I mean, a good thing he was wearing a helmet at all, but like, seriously, this is so barbaric, in my opinion. Maybe that makes me weenie, whatever, but like, this person has a life. They have a family. They have to go on living after that. And when you get in a crash like that, it's like, it affects you for the rest of your life. Oh God, I'd seen photos of this. I had a poster of this. And how weird is that? I had a poster of somebody who was like then hospitalized for the next 8 months. God, so grim. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a weenie. Maybe I'm just a softie. But I really think that in order for athletics to have like good viewership over time and to build these athletes' long-term profile, you need to consider their health. I mean, even Ted Ligety, the other day, had an Instagram post where he was talking about his back, because we had course setters that were just setting things, and then we changed the turn radius so it was harder to turn for athletes, and it just made them more likely to crash. I mean, let's put people's welfare in front of entertainment. I know that's not kind of popular opinion, but let's do that. It seems crazy. I hate watching these crashes, and this is just a good reminder why I hate them. All right, let's see Bode Miller's 2015 Super G crash.
Oh boy, out of that narrow chute, and we're going to see in these first couple gates how direct Bode Miller is going to try and go and what kind of risk he's going to take in this run.
Okay, before he even crashes, just look at the pitch. You can usually not even see half of the pitch on the camera. This is straight down, and look how that course is set. It follows the fall line and then follows a different line. And I know this because I was like a course setter for USSA and USCSA, whatever. I did this stuff, and this is an insane set. This is like, if you have X amount of speed, you are giving this person all of the speed on the steepest part of the hill, which is the most dangerous. This is insane. I can't believe someone set this. Yuck. Okay.
Nailing that blue gate out of the bobsled area.
Okay, and of course Bode's gonna run it the straightest because he is like the most aggressive, just competitor. I had a cross-country running coach from Vermont that would talk about how he would see Bode Miller at local races because Bode would just try different sports and he's an ultra competitive guy. You set somebody on a course like this, they are gonna get hurt. It's like almost guaranteed. This is insane. Bode, I know you watch some of these videos. Feel free to comment. I don't know. I know you're busy, so don't worry about it. But if you do, I'd love to know. Also, I've been meaning to ask Bode, who is the guy that always yells, "Let's go, Bode"? Is that somebody new? I've always wondered that. I've been wondering that for like the last 20 years. So anyway, let's see this. This seems nearly negligent of the course setter to have a guy like this on a course like that, because essentially every hill has different like fall lines. It'll go this way and then this way, and there are ways where you could have it kind of go over here, so you're kind of running across the hill more and you're getting rid of some of the speed in order to make the gate. This guy was such a donkey that he was like, you see all that speed? We're gonna use all of it. But when you get guys like this, they're gonna get hurt. God, I would sanction, red flag. This is insane. And I'm not even at the World Cup level of like USSA race referee. What an absurd course set. You know what, you do a course set like this, you should have to pay people's hospital bills. You know what I mean? Like, all right, that was on me. I got the tab. Gross.
You know, you'll notice that he stands up a little bit more than...
He's almost tucking. That's how aggressive Bode was with this stuff. He would, if there was any speed to be had, he took it. Whether or not he was going to make the line, he was, you know, he used his athleticism to basically make it happen. But look at how tight that line is, and he doesn't mind if his skis go out a little bit because he's getting extra speed from that line. In track, this sometimes happens. If you're passing on a curve, obviously the inside of the curve is less distance. So like in skiing and running, that's what you want to do. But sometimes people will go a little bit outside because it allows them to stretch their legs more. It's the same with skiing. You can give yourself some speed, especially if you're going into a flat section. So sometimes you'll take the faster area, even if you have to travel a little bit farther distance. It's something like a good World Cup level tactical racer would look at.
Some of the other guys, he wants to set that outside edge perfectly. He's got the speed.
Miller had the early.
You already saw that? He did a hot turn. That's how you know, like, World Cup level racers are almost always 2 feet on the ground. Like, they don't tend to. I know in Super G you get a little bit of air, but he was doing like a hop turn and his skis were just floating before he got them back on. And Bode was good at that, like waiting for the timing and everything. But Jesus, on a Super G, in a turn, that is so stressful. Slalom is not a big deal because you, okay, what are you gonna do? How much damage you're gonna do going that speed? This is nuts. This is...
Lead as far as pace goes up top by just about a tenth on Streitberger, who sits atop the podium at the moment.
These videos don't show it, but he is going so fast. And you don't get a sense for like when the snow is that hard packed, you feel every chatter. I mean, people complain, oh, these skis chatter a little bit. This is like insane. This is like your legs are shaking at the end.
Podium at the moment.
Early in his career, so many people said he sits back too far, he uses the tail, but the tail is fast. He releases the tip. Look at the speed now.
Gain some more time.
Yeah, see what the guy's talking about? He's using the tail. I mean, that was kind of a weird thing back then that they would talk about. They call it late and straight. I think really Bode was just using the full length of the ski, and he was willing to ride on the tail a little bit if it gave him extra speed and a better line. God, just waiting for this to happen.
By a half second better than Streitberger.
And I like the way he was back in his tuck early off that little fall away. Now he's got good momentum going into Golden Eagle.
See how long it took him to land? On top of that, if you're ever wondering, that tuck, you know, basically you're getting more aerodynamic, you've got your hands in front of you, breaking the wind so that you're kind of a bullet going down. But what people don't realize is like all that lactic acid from your legs of like, you know, really, and I've only skied at like the very basic USSA, USCSA level, okay? But I know that when you get in that tuck, what's basically happening is your legs aren't relaxed, so you're just building up lactic acid. Your legs are screaming through that tuck, especially midway through a course. Ay, ay, ay. And he was in a low tuck. He wasn't even a high tuck. Okay.
Well, he's lost a little time, and Bode Miller is down, toppling over down the course. had lost some time and then in a split second just absolutely lost it.
Honestly, this could have been a lot worse. He was kind of coming across the hill. I mean, it was still a brutal fall. But if he had been going through some of those other sections and fallen, it would have been a lot worse. Like you saw in that video with Mikaela. He was luckily kind of turning up the hill. And this is maybe an example of a better course setter at the bottom section at least. They're kind of a jerk at the top. Where I think he's okay from this. I don't know for sure, but I mean, you see what he's doing with his legs too. He just wants to like stop so his legs can relax for a minute. Okay, well I just hit this one at random. This was Bode Miller Crash 2015 World Champs. I just Googled it because I've seen enough Bode Miller crashes. I'm glad that one was okay, especially he's got his kids watching. I'm glad that one was like mild. That was really stressful. And that's like maybe a good example. Like, see how the course setter set it across the hill? So when he crashed, I'm sure it hurt a ton because he's going really fast in Super G. But it wasn't in a way that was dangerous or harmful. It was like he shed his speed kind of as he was coming across the hill. It could have also been Bode like mid-crash was kind of trying to redirect himself in a safe way. You don't want to go straight down the hill when you're on the back of your skis. That's a good way to like get your knee twisted. I mean, somebody who's had enough knee injuries, he probably understands how to crash better than anyone. But, okay, this wasn't as bad. I don't know if I need like some heart medication or something. Yeah, I'll get off my soapbox now. But I just wanted to talk about it. It was something I'd seen the Ski Essential guys talk about a little bit with like, should we be tweaking how we do this so that our star athletes aren't just randomly getting injured all the time? And it's like back in the Lindsey Vonn days, we should have been doing that. She could have been skiing for another 5 years or maybe just had a better quality of life the rest of her life. God, but anyway, I wanted to give my opinion on it. I see it a lot on Instagram with double backflips and huge lines in the backcountry with people who aren't properly trained. And so I just wanted to say that I think that I don't like the way that we kind of fetishize personal injury in the ski world. And this is, at least from my ski racing background, how I wanted to approach it. So that's my opinion. That's the end of the video. If you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. Helps my channel out a lot. But more than anything, just thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Just taking the time to watch this video means the most to me, honestly.